Hey everybody, it's Glenn back in this video with a new episode of Action Figure Evolution. You guys know how it works. We take one particular character and look at the various action figure incarnations of that character throughout the years. And in this episode, it's the turn of everybody's favourite master of magnetism. It's Magneto. Let's kick it off by returning to 1984 when a Marvel character was not worth their salt unless they were teleported to Battleworld by the Beyonder, as Marvel superheroes face Marvel supervillains in Secret Wars. Marvel's first big crossover event dreamt up so Mattel could tie in a toy line. Yep, you heard me, Mattel, now known as the longtime makers of DC comic action figures, making Marvel ones just showed you how long ago this was. And so Secret Wars brought forth the first appearance of Spider-Man's black costume, the first ever Wolverine action figure, and likewise the first Magneto one, minus a cape which I guess the Beyonder forgot to teleport with the rest of Magneto, and beyond the head all detail specific to the character is painted on and not sculpted, so they could keep the body neutral to reuse it for every other character in the line, bit like Hasbro's Marvel Legends 30 years later. Forwarding to 1991, a time when we were yet to discover that Marky Mark was as good at acting as he was rapping, and the Uncanny X-Men comic book received a spin-off simply titled X-Men, the first issue of which is recognised by the Guinness Book of World Records as being the best-selling comic book of all time, a popularity no doubt due in part to Magneto, who had over the previous years become a reformed character, believing in Charles Xavier's dream of peaceful coexistence between normal humans and mutants. Well, now in X-Men #1, Magneto was back to being an evil bastard and wanting to crush humanity in the name of mutant kind. And what better way to celebrate than with a new line of X-Men action figures? And the Magneto one featured a big old bucket for a helmet, twice the size it should be. Talk about bang for your buck. It also featured magnetic hands and chest. Humans, bow at my feet because I can make metal things stick to me. You're probably thinking not the most awe-inspiring use of his power. My grandpa said the same thing about this action figure. Then I used the magnet inside of it to short-circuit his pacemaker. The following year saw the launch of the wildly popular X-Men animated series, and certainly in comparison to 1991's offering, the 1992 figure is certainly the more dynamic looking of the two, and it came with super spark action. Why? Who knows? After 5 seasons and a whopping 76 episodes, in 1997 the X-Men animated series came to an end, yet we would only have to wait a few years for the next incarnation of an X-Men cartoon, as in 2000 along came X-Men Evolution. It was a much bolder reimagining of the X-Men, which as a comic fan didn't always sit that well with me, yet one thing I did enjoy is that compared to its predecessor, it adopted a stronger visual style, seen here in the Magneto figure which accompanied the cartoon, plus Toy Biz bumped the scale up to 6" and we got a removable helmet that didn't look totally ridiculous. Then, figuratively in the shadow of those two animated series was 2009's Wolverine and the X-Men cartoon. It ran for just a single season, and with Hasbro taking up the Marvel action figure license from Toy Biz, they shrank the scale from 6" to 3 3/4", putting the figures literally in the shadow of their Toy Biz predecessors. And so the era of giving less but charging more began, as not only did the scale shrink, but so did the points of articulation. This 2009 tiny little Magneto had pretty much the same articulation as the Marvel Secret Wars one that we kicked this video off with, and that was made 25 years earlier. Hardly evolution now, is it? But anyway, let's now go back to the year 2000. So the best-selling comic book of all time, the longest-running Marvel animated series. What next for the X-Men? Hooray for Hollywood! Yep, the year 2000 saw the release of the X-Men movie and its accompanying action figures, and this Magneto came out at a time just before Toy Biz were about to make a giant leap both in sculpting and superposability, so while this figure still has so-so articulation and likeness, heck, it even has a goofy action feature, but if we compare it to the Magneto action figure that came out with X-Men 2 a few years later, and the likeness took a huge leap. Plus, in the time between the two, Marvel Legends was born, so the X-Men 2 Magneto has the superposability that Marvel Legends revolutionized the art of action figures with. So gone is the action feature of the first one, and instead we can actually pose Magneto as if he is stopping the Blackbird jet in mid-air. Speaking of Marvel Legends, this is Magneto from the third series of Marvel Legends in 2002. Actually, I stand corrected, this is the rape-face variant that was released a year later in the X-Men Marvel Legends box set. The regular version had a much more somber face. And its 36 points of articulation speaks volumes about the evolution of action figures when you compare this one to the first one in this video, which had just 5 points of articulation. However, I still think Magneto is long overdue a Legends redo. I never liked the bulkiness of it, which is explained by reusing the Iron Man from Series 1. And sticking with Marvel Legends, but moving from Toy Biz to Hasbro, and the Blob Build-A-Figure series saw the release of the mysterious masked mutant Zorn, who turned out to be Magneto. Yet then the real Zorn appeared, except that Zorn wasn't the real Zorn, he was Zorn's brother, claiming that the Zorn who revealed himself to be Magneto wasn't in fact Magneto, but was in fact Zorn pretending to be Magneto, or something. What a mess, and it left us wishing they'd bring Joseph back. And then they did. Moving from Marvel Legends to its sister line X-Men Classics, which brought us this Magneto in 2006, I'm not sure how comic accurate the costume is, as how do I say, X-Men Classics sometimes just plain made shit up, but it seems to be a hybrid of Ultimate Comics Magneto and movie Magneto. It features a removable helmet, which is always a nice touch, and if we remove it, it has a really nice Magneto head sculpt underneath, but where this action figure really jumps the shark is in this odd contraption mounted on his shoulder. What the F is it? Is it some kind of camera, so when Magneto is making all of humanity bow at his feet, he can take a selfie and post it to Instagram? Here is the X-Men Classics figure side by side with a Marvel Legends one. The downside to the Classics one is it isn't in the classic Magneto costume that we've all become so familiar with. The upside to it is it's proportionally much more accurate, what with it not reusing the body of an action figure that's a man in a big metal armoured suit. And while on the subject of proportional incorrectness, here's the Mega Bloks Magneto and Marvel Superhero Squad Magneto battling it out to decide who's the darnest, cutest little pro-mutant anti-human bigot there ever was. And from the smallest Magneto to the biggest. Well, at least in this video, as there was a Marvel Legends Icons 12-inch scale one, but the figure you see on the right of the screen here, it's the Marvel Select 7-inch scale Magneto, showing off that scale by dwarfing the Marvel Legends 6-inch scale one. And Marvel Select went back to basics on this one, representing Magneto in his classic costume that whether you grew up reading the comic books or watching the X-Men animated series, this is the Magneto that we've all come to love, or love to hate, however you look at it. And the sculpting on the body is really decent, it's very dynamic, but that screeches to a halt when it comes to the face sculpt, which I think really lets down this action figure. Plus, the helmet isn't removable. If you wanted an unhelmeted Magneto, you had to buy an entirely different variant action figure. So with all that in mind, just what is the best Magneto action figure? You guys let me know in the comments below. In my opinion, it's yet to be produced. I can't think of a character more deserving of a Marvel Legends redo than Magneto, so let's cross our fingers that we get one soon, and then cross our toes that it's actually good. If you're with me on that, give this video a big thumbs up. For more action figure evolution with Venom, click this video. Alternatively, check out the description beneath this video for links to my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Click those links and connect with me there too. Please subscribe, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.